remind people that tourism is a new thing for us, and it was never something we were very good at. In 1982, the tourism slogan for Northern Ireland was this: visit Northern Ireland, she might never leave. Marketing, that's a new thing for us as well. People of the Sunflower Bar, are you all ready for your headline this evening? This is, of course, a man who needs no introduction. No, that's me. I'll give him one. Well, look, our soundman's from Maharai. He has never seen the electricity before. So, ladies and gentlemen, why are you still giggling, enjoying that? Fuck it, just go wild because you're right now, please.
Thank you so much for coming out today. Really appreciate it. All the money is going to a really, really good charity that is very close to my heart. I'm legally obliged to tell that joke. But yeah, and I think the funniest thing of the night has already happened, that William actually thought a person called Kieran Maguire was in the UDA. Class within class. Know your audience. But yeah, a quick thing about me before I get started tonight, guys. I have a condition that the doctors call ET, and that stands for essential tremor. What that basically means is that I'm shaking no matter what the circumstances. So throughout tonight, if you see my head shake or the microphone shake or anything like that, it's not because I'm nervous. It's not because I'm a Michael J. Fox tribute act. It just means I'm genetically inferior to everybody else. And it also means if you guys are thinking about getting me a Christmas present this year, don't get me Jenga. Because I already have it. But yeah, no, it's been crazy about 18 months since I started doing stand-up comedy. And the main reason why I started originally doing stand-up comedy is because I don't have the best relationship with my family. Like I haven't spoken to my dad in about 6 years. On top of the fact that he's been dead for 7. Yeah, fuck. That is the nicest bit of material I have. Yeah, no, so I haven't spoken to my dad in about 7 years, and like, my dad used to like to fuck with me all the time, but like not in a bad way. Not like a usual way. That's not, I'm going to take it off. Yeah, no, because like 1 year for Christmas, I asked him to get me a big poster of Fergie from the Black Eyed Peas, because she was my childhood crush. And just to fuck with me, he got me a big poster of Sir Alex Ferguson. Now, Sunflower, I don't know if you guys have ever tried to masturbate to a photo of Alex Ferguson. I know I have. If there's anything you can take away from my set, know that it's difficult but doable. That's the main takeaway. And like, I don't get on with my mum either. She's like a really nasty woman. She always holds grudges over like really petty shit that shouldn't really matter. I mean, like, I didn't mean to come with that. But when you say The Phantom Menace is the best Star Wars movie, I'm sorry, but you have to die. This is about the third or fourth time I've actually said that joke with my mum in the room. So it's getting easier, Mum, I'm going to tell you. It's a lot easier. But yeah, no, in all seriousness, my dad died of a condition that the doctors call ARDS, which stands for Acute Respiratory Distress Syndrome. And yet Newton Ards is still my second favourite arts. But yeah, no, my mum seems to think my dad died of embarrassment of having a part-time comedian as a son. Yeah, it's sad, isn't it? I seem to think it was because he was married to the female embodiment of getting your foreskin cut in your zipper. I think that's just me. That's just crazy. You guys are probably sitting there thinking, Jordan, you had such a bad relationship with your family growing up. You were probably going to be a great dad when the time comes. No. I'll explain why. Do you guys know the song A Boy Named Sue by Johnny Cash? Yeah, well, in the song, the guy gets named Sue because his dad's not going to be around when he's growing up, and he wants him to grow up tough. So I'm going to adopt the same kind of thing with my kids, but I'm going to call them I Voted Leave. I'm really ready. And like they're not going to get like nice VHS tapes that I used to get when I was a kid, so there'll be like no Pocahontas, no Toy Story, nothing like that. I'm just going to get them a Netflix account, and I'm going to make them watch Abducted in Plain Sight. And then they go up to me and go like, Dad, what does hand relief mean? I'll go like, go ask your uncle, that's how I found out. It's good to see my uncles in the crowd tonight for something. But I'm going to keep some of the Christmas stuff in, guys, because like I'm not an idiot. Like I know all the milk and cookies that the kids leave out for Santa. Like the parents get to eat them at the end of the night. I'm just going to convince my kids that Santa likes Heineken and Regal Filter. I'm not going to do that elf on the shelf thing either. I think it's bullshit. It's redundant at this point. I'm going to do this thing called paramilitary under the stairs. I'll keep them there the whole year round just to see if I'm babysitting as well. So if you guys can't tell, I've had a kind of weird relationship with my family growing up. So I like to do this thing to get back at my dad. It's called smoke a pack and a half of cigarettes a day. And I'm getting pretty good at it, guys. I'm almost on 2. And like every time, like when I was walking up the stairs to get to the gig today, I was like getting out of breath. And I was like, take that, Dad. And like, is there any other smokers in the crowd? Yeah, you guys probably do the same thing I do. I started collecting like the wee, the wee pictures in the front of the cigarette packets and like trading them like morbid Pokemon cards. Just trying to, create a diseased lung for like a fucking dead baby fetus. I don't know. Still one of the lighter jokes, guys. Come on. We'll have to get on board here. But like, they say like humans are like the smartest animals on the planet, yet we still smoke with these like disgusting packets and stuff like that. And like, I'm going to go out on a limb and say this. If dolphins were in our position, they would have stopped when they stopped doing 10 decks, you know what I mean? But like, I don't want to big up dolphins too much, because I don't know if you guys know this. I think that they're like the Harvey Weinstein of the animal kingdom. Follow me on this one, guys. Because like, dolphins have been known to use other animals to masturbate with, and they kill baby dolphins in an effort to woo the mother. Now, I don't know if you guys count that as like traditional romance, like having your potential suitor kill your offspring. Like, it saves on babysitting, but that's like the whole thing, and like people spend hundreds and hundreds of pounds to swim with these aquatic sex offenders. If I wasn't spend that much money, I would demand on a background check on every single fucking one. Like, I don't want my holiday to Alicante to be ruined by some sexual pervert that squeaks. I don't But yeah, so this is the second night at Pickheart, and for that exact reason, I actually wrote a joke for tonight. See that right here, yeah? Awesome. Why did the dolphin get arrested? For possession of seaweed! And also rape and murder. Like when I first started doing comedy, I did my first ever gig in the Pavilion Bar, April 30th, 2018. And straight after that, I went on a plane and went over to Chicago and Boston for a while. And I did loads of gigs when I was out there. And like, America's great and stuff, but no matter like what part of America you go to, they always know Irish people for the same 3 things. Number 1 is that we drink a lot, which to be fair is true. The most famous person from Belfast is George Best, and he had more liver transplants than happy marriages. And the second thing they always think about, especially when you tell them you're from Belfast, is that we fight a lot because of the troubles and stuff like that. But look at me, guys. The last thing I kicked the shit out of was my liver, which also proves my first thing. The third thing they always think of when you say you're from Ireland is the Great Famine that happened in 1845. And I don't know if you guys can tell by the state of my waistline, but we're doing okay now. Turns out you don't need potatoes to live. Now that we have legs. But when I was on the flight back from Boston to Dublin, I watched the remake of that horror movie, you know, Stephen King's It, that came out like a couple of years ago. And like I was watching it, and like for those of you guys who don't know the movie, it's set in the fictional town of Derry, which is in the state of Maine in America. And like, I couldn't help but wonder how much better the film would be if it was set in Derry in the north of Ireland. Like, cause like in the actual movie, the kids combat Pennywise, which is like this evil entity that manifests itself as a clown, with a slingshot. But like, if it was set in Derry in the north of Ireland, you know for a fact they'd be borrowing a semi-automatic rifle from one of their dad's social clubs. And like, for the rest of the flight home, I couldn't help think how much better it would be if like every single horror movie was set in towns in Northern Ireland. Like, because you could have like a Nightmare in like Elm Street, but call it a Nightmare on Main Street, Ballymena. But I think Freddy Krueger would be a bit freaked out with the amount of sheep fucking going on. Sorry, Hannah. And like, you could remake that movie that came out last year, Slender Man, but set it in Belfast and put me in it and call it Not So Slender Man. But yeah, you guys probably have already known this. Loads of you guys have known me the majority of my life. I'm what doctors call morbidly obese. Cheers, guys. Thanks. Appreciate that. And like, when you get down to the brass tacks about overeating is an addiction, just like anything else, but it doesn't have like one of those cool names. If you're like addicted to alcohol, you're called an alcoholic. If you're addicted to chocolate, you're called a chocoholic. If you're addicted to playing Fortnite on the Xbox, you're a virgin. Like, all you get called if you're addicted to overeating is a fat bastard. I don't think that's very fair at all, because we fat bastards, we give a lot to community. If you think the C in KFC stands for community, which, just in case you guys are thinking, doesn't. Stand for chicken, apparently. I definitely fact-checked that one. But like, I think all my problems with obesity and stuff like that stem from my love of sugar. Because I'm not gonna lie to you guys, like I fucking love sugar. Like, I love sugar as much as like Demi Lovato loves heroin. Like, fuck, you guys don't know who Demi Lovato is. Okay, like, I love sugar as much as Prince Andrew loves Pizza Express. You know what? You guys still aren't getting this? Okay, like, I love sugar as much as Jerry and Kate McCann like a night out with like the kids. You happy? But yeah, so it's been a crazy fat year of doing stand-up comedy and stuff like that. And St. Patrick's Day next year, I'm going over with William to the Glasgow Comedy Festival over in Glasgow, which is cool. So normally I would find Belfast audiences have a better tolerance for like dirty and dark jokes, which normally is the case, but I'm kind of scared in Glasgow that's not going to be the case, so I've written a couple of one-liners for tonight for the new show. Do you guys want to hear them yet? Feedback would also be great if anybody wants to get that, I'd appreciate it. But yeah, these are more like kind of like child-friendly, family-friendly jokes, so... Say what you want about having schizophrenia, but when someone tells you to go fuck yourself, at least you have a couple of options. See, the joke is they're not going down at all. My mom was actually diagnosed with schizophrenia when she was pregnant with me, so it turns out she was eating for 3. I'll give you it, it's not as good as the first schizophrenia joke, but who else has schizophrenia jokes these days? Me, I'm the only one. Anything can be used as a vibrator if you have Parkinson's. That's not really a joke, that's just a tip. Sinead O'Connor recently converted to Islam and has gone on record as saying she never wants to speak to another white person as long as she lives. But she's doing a country music for in Ghana next week, so good luck with that. I caught my parents having sex once, and it was pretty awkward and I didn't really know what to do. So I just closed the door behind me, went back to my seat and asked the stewardess for more peanuts. Normally I have to explain that to people. Do you guys know the band the Scissor Sisters?
Yeah.
They're actually named after the sexual act of scissoring. What would you do if that was the end of the joke? Yeah, they're named after the sexual act of scissoring. That reminds me, guys, after the comedy, my band, Rusty Trombone and the Reversed Album. I find it ironic that in America they call firemen firefighters, but they don't call police officers minority hunters. My ex-girlfriend had really subtle ways of telling me things weren't working out between us in the relationship, because every time I tried to hold her hand in public, she'd always take her hand away, and every time I text her, she'd always reply with one-word answers. And she can't suck on other guys' dicks. Which made watching Countdown with her really awkward. I'll explain later. When did the word radical go from describing a Californian surfer to an Islamic terrorist? That's more of a question than a joke. I think Prince Andrew was the original person to come up with the term no sweat. I wrote that joke in a subway today. But that's just some Okay. What's Bill Cosby's favorite cocktail? Unconsensual sex on the beach. This isn't actually a one-liner. This is something that genuinely happened to me. I got blocked on Twitter by Jerry Seinfeld. Yeah, like I'm not just going to say I got blocked on Jerry Seinfeld and leave it. The new season of Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee came out, and in this season Matthew Broderick was one of the people that was in the Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee show. So I just retweeted the photo back to Jerry Seinfeld, and I was like, it's a good thing you didn't let Matthew Broderick drive. Okay, the old people in the room get that. Matthew Broderick killed 2 people in like fucking Donegal somewhere. I remember the first time I saw a pair of human breasts. And that's a day I'm never going to forget, but let me tell you this, guys, I will never be back to an open casket funeral again. I miss Granny. There's a place in East Belfast called Conswater. And within a 50-metre range of each other, there's a McDonald's drive-thru, a KFC drive-thru, a Tim Hortons drive-thru, and a Starbucks drive-thru. If these developers are telling you anything about East Belfast it's don't get out of your car. The worst thing to say to your child if it comes up to you and asks, Dad, am I adopted, is to say, not yet. Every time I play rock, paper, scissors, I choose love, because love conquers all, guys. See, there's some nice ones. There's not a lot. I think it's amazing, like 2 weeks after the nuclear meltdown in Chernobyl, cities all across the world got together to raise funds to make Lurgan less of a shithole. I don't know, you can use any town in that, you know. Ballymena, Ballymoney. Other places. I have a friend who hates me using the word cunt. And I said, if I can't use that word, how do I describe you when you're not around? I could really get behind more paramilitary organizations if they stopped kneecapping my favorite drug dealers. think. Can you guys stop laughing when I laugh, please? I think Boris Johnson is secretly a Russian spy, but he's too stupid and forgot to change his first name.
Boris.
If Tom has 3 apples and Cindy has 5, how many times can I mention my dad's dead in my stand-up set? 7. Answer 7. I think my last relationship is best summed up by saying it's like the relationship the DUP had with the Tories, but the DUP ended up getting fucked and I didn't. People say suicide is never the answer. Is that me asking Google, is suicide? People say suicide is never the answer, unless the question is, how'd you get the Jeremy Kyle show cancelled? Thanks for fucking that. Google. People say suicide is never the answer, unless the question is, how'd you get Jeffrey Epstein to stop telling people you're a pedophile? I didn't even hear that, Karen. I don't know. It's actually my mum's birthday tomorrow. So we'll all say happy birthday to her. I was like, what do you want? Because her birthday's quite close to Christmas. And she said, just get us something for the bath, like bath bombs or something like that. So like, I can't wait until she wakes up tomorrow to open a toaster. You see, if my mum actually does die tomorrow, that's me fucked. I have said to a room full of people that I'm going to kill her. I need an alibi. I went to an amputee strip bar the other day. The place was crawling with pussy. Hey, if you didn't like that joke, no, the book in Thompson wrote it. Thank you. Caught my parents having sex again. And this time it was really awkward because I hadn't seen my dad since his funeral. Surprisingly not the worst joke I have in this, but incidentally my favourite joke. I've been getting a load of matches on Tinder recently from like American and Canadian girls. And like, yeah, no, you'd think that like it kind of helped with my my confidence and stuff like that, but they always send the first message going like, sorry, do you know where to buy weed in Belfast? So it's not really that much of a confidence boost. And I was actually thinking to myself, surely you shouldn't be going to like Tinder to try and buy weed. You should be going to Instagram or Grindr, like one that serves a purpose. Okay, last one-liner. What's the difference between a United Ireland and an abortion? I love how quiet it gets when I ask. My mum didn't want a United Ireland in 1993. Nor does she woman now, she's very Protestant. Darren Matthews is going to shoot you on the way out. Yeah, no, I was speaking briefly there that I've had pretty bad relationships my whole entire life. Since I've become an adult, I've had like 3 major relationships, and every single one of those has ended badly. My first girlfriend decided to dump me on the day of my dad's funeral. That's a true story. Can't really understand. I know, rough. I can't really understand the thinking behind it. You know, maybe she thought that day wasn't traumatic enough for me, and she just wanted to help out a little bit. And my second girlfriend likes sucking other guys' dicks. Remember the? She's here tonight. And me and my third girlfriend broke up about 4 or 5 months ago now. And there's 2 main reasons why we broke up. And the first one I'm not really happy to say, but it's because like I have a really difficult time telling the truth to people. I lie quite I lie quite a lot, and it's probably something I'm going to have to look at if I want to be happy in the future. And the second reason we broke up is because my dick is absolutely massive. Well, that's clearly a lie. No, the real reason we broke up is because she said I was making her miserable all the time. Because I kept trying to stand up with her woman. What do you mean, of course, it's not funny? But like in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't really matter because the world's on fire and we're all going to die soon. So, I found myself back on Tinder, which is cool. And I don't want to be one of those comedians that just slappers by Tinder all the time, because like without Tinder, I'd still be a virgin. So I really do appreciate it. But there's some that like there's 3 or 4 things that I fucking hate about Tinder, and they're all found in like different people's bios. Like, for example, like, I'm sorry guys, I'm gonna say it, but full-time mummy, it's not an occupation. Okay, number 1. And like, you see when you put no drama please in your bio, it immediately makes everybody who reads that think that you were the source of all the in your entire life. And like, you know, I'm like, I don't care how attractive your 2 children are, I'm not trying to fuck them, I'm trying to you know what I mean? I actually said that to someone on Tinder. I didn't get a reply. But yeah, when I was in a relationship and stuff like that, my greatest fear was that I was actually going to die alone. But now that I am alone, it's cannibals. Like I don't know if you guys know this, but like the main demographic for cannibals is fat people. Like they love us, and like you know, there's like fucking in Japan they feed certain types of cows like beer to make wagyu beef. When you think about it, I've been doing that to myself for like it's the same in like Christmas this year, the turkey starts shoving something up its own hole. Like it sounds so delivered already done. So to try and like dispel some of these cannibal fears in my mind, I started reading up about like different stories about cannibalism. And I read this one about the Donner Party, where this group of people left Missouri to try and hit California for the gold rush. But what they did was they left it a month too late. They took a shortcut and they got stuck in the Appalachian Mountains during a snowstorm. And one by one they ended up having to eat each other to survive. And yeah, it's a pretty gruesome story, but one person made it all the way from Missouri to California. And I don't think I'm the only person in this room that wanted to be in California when he actually landed. It's just like, oh hey dude, you're here. It's cool. Where's everybody else? And why are you so fat? He's just fucking slurping down a shoelace or something. Did they have shoelaces back then? Who knows? And you guys are probably sitting there going like, Jordan, what is the moral of this story that you're trying to tell us? And it's simple, guys. If you're scared of cannibals, the one thing you have to do is eat the other people. No other people, no cannibals. But yeah, no, I've past 18 years now, I've come to the conclusion that I'm a human piece of shit. Everybody's agreeing with me there too. And I think it's because like I had a really strict Protestant upbringing when I was younger. Because like, you know, I didn't meet another Catholic person until I went to like boarding school at the age of 11. And by that time a lot of anti-Catholic rhetoric had really stuck in the back of my brain. Like I used to think a lot of fucked up shit about Catholic people. Like their saliva could melt steel beams. Listen, I'm not saying that Catholic people are responsible for 9/11. All I'm saying is you guys do the math. And have you guys seen Jurassic Park, the first one? Yeah, you know Dennis, the fat guy that steals the microchip, and then he gets his truck stopped and he's trying to winch it out, and he gets caught in the rain, and then out jumps this dinosaur with a frilly neck that spits venom in his face. Yeah, I used to think they were Catholics. And like they couldn't even eat on Good Fridays. Sorry, Darren. I'm just realising I'm an island. But yeah, no, I came to the realisation that my best friend from the age of 5 was actually Catholic. His name was Finbar, probably should have guessed. But when I found that out, I went straight into Belfast, went straight down to Sandy Road, went into the Rangers Supporters Club, handed in my badge and my gun. And I was like, guys, this life is not for me. And from that point on, I've no longer been sectarian, because I think all our hate and all our prejudice should be reserved for my first girlfriend. Yeah, no, I was saying, like, my parents put me into boarding school at the age of 11, and I'm still fucking raging about it. Because not many people know this. The term boarding school actually comes from the Latin word consensus schoola, which roughly translates into English as my parents didn't love me. And it was difficult for me in boarding school and stuff like that, because I got bullied quite a lot for being so fat, shaky, and Protestant all the time. So like the only thing I learned from 5 years of boarding school was how to like secretly masturbate in a room of 14 other people. And guys, I got really fucking good at it. Like I could be jerking off right now, and you guys would think all you would see is me picturing Alex Ferguson's face. So, as most of the people who know already, I am due to go in for open heart surgery soon, and I'm going to be taking a bit of a break from doing stand-up. So I thought I'd just explain what the fuck is happening. So basically, I was born with a fucked up heart. Thanks, Mom. You're the one that made it. So yeah, basically one side of my heart doesn't work at all, really, and the other side works too much. You could equate it like Protestant and Catholic, but I'm not going to do that. So basically what they're going to do is they're going to give me open heart surgery to try and repair the tricuspid valve, and if they can't repair it, they're going to need to replace it. So there's two options when you're going to replace it. You either get a mechanical valve, which is pretty cool, and the other option is like an animal kind of like tissue valve, and like the animal tissue is all donated by pigs, like not donated by pigs. There's not a bunch of organ donation forms for fucking hooligans. Yeah, so basically that's why the show is called Pig Heart, because part of my heart will be a pig's heart. And like, you know, it's pretty, it would be pretty easy for me to get like down and depressed and stuff like that. So I think it's really important for me to like kind of try and find the like positives in the whole situation. So I went in for the consultation with the cardiologist, Dr. Austin, a couple of weeks ago, and he was just going like, Jordan, if you literally have any questions, please feel free to ask me anything, and I'll do my best to give you an answer and stuff like that. I was like, okay, Dr. Austin, the thing is, I don't really have any questions, just some requirements before I go in for surgery. And he goes like, Jordan, I don't think you understand how serious this is. You don't and I go like, just hear me out, Doc. Okay, number one, I want to make sure that nobody on the doctor team was on the doctor team for Michael Jackson, because we all know how that ended. That's number one. And number two, I want to make it clear that we're going in for open heart surgery. I don't want to wake up with a bigger set of tits. The doctor said fair play, they are pretty big. So yeah, it's I've been doing my best to try and find the positives in the whole situation, and at the minute I've found 4, which, you know, is pretty good. The first one is that, you know, I get to utilise the NHS before it gets privatised, which you guys are cheering for the privatisation of the NHS. He's just turning in his grave at the back. The second thing is that I genuinely now have an excuse not to do anything that I don't want to do. What's this fucking class? I dare someone here to invite me to a baby shower. Like, I can't, the fucking pigs open or something. Some lingo that will confuse you. And like the third thing, okay, this guy, stick with me, this is a bit niche, but like, if I ever find myself in like an 80s action movie and like I'm the main like bad guy, and then I'm on the edge of a building, and then like Bruce Willis or Arnold Schwarzenegger's just about to kill me by like kicking me off the roof, they'll look to the camera and say, this little piggy went to the morgue, and then just that's my favorite reason out of it. Like, all four, but the fourth one is, and this will probably offend one person in this room, but no matter how hard I try, no matter what I do, I will never be vegan. So, yeah, guys, I'm a pig fart to a certain extent. I just want to thank everybody for coming out here and supporting like the local NI comedy scene. It's, you know, going strength to strength. There's loads of great clubs, loads of great people doing great things. Tonight wasn't a great example of it. Yeah, I want to thank James and Mark for sorting out all the tech stuff. And the Sunblog Bar for organising this thing.